Hello, everybody. I'm Abha Chaudhry. I'm a pediatric endocrinologist from Dallas, Texas. And I'm here on behalf of my multidisciplinary team. If I can get my slides. All right. So I'm here on behalf of my multidisciplinary team presenting our screening experience. My team consists of Leah, who's our advanced practice nurse, Preeti, advanced practice nurse, Christina, who's a PA, Katie Hamilton, Marsha, our diabetes educators, and Don Buckingham is our QI coach. We joined the collaborative in September of 2023. Todd Alonso introduced us to the collaborative, and I'm glad we did. We follow a total of around 2,000 patients with type 1 diabetes. 43% are non-commercially insured, 82% are CGM users, 59% are pump users, and we admit around 250 new onsets per year. We have approximately 17 FTE faculty, and we are hiring. If you're interested in coming to Dallas, we have 3 fellows, 8.1 FTE APP, 17.5 FTE diabetes educators, RDs, 1.96, 5 social workers, and 2 psychologists. So this is jumping right into screening. So this is our fishbone diagram and interventions on what obstructs setting up early onset T1D screening clinic. It's a busy slide, but I'm going to try to hit the high points, starting with the upper right, patient staff. Knowledge was definitely a big bucket. Our intervention was education for staff, families, and PCPs. For staff, I created slide deck references and presentations. For families, we created handouts, which we handed out to them at every clinic visit. It was placed in our new onset binder, and it was a part of our monthly newsletter. For PCPs, that is still pretty challenging in terms of educating all the PCPs in the DFW area. We have created a podcast, which is live on our website, and we are in the process of developing these lunch and learn sessions and health equity kind of sessions. Leah and Preeti are working on creating those sessions. So that is definitely work in progress. The other bucket is patient selection. So who is the right patient? Should we just screen siblings of T1D patients as recommended by ADA, or should we add on patients with other autoimmune conditions or people in the general population? The third bucket is appointment availability time, staffing, that whole big bucket. We, like other pediatric endocrinologists, are stretched pretty thin. Our next available appointment is in 8 months. So we had to be creative to see how we can accommodate these patients and see them in a timely manner. So we had to think about streamlining triage, developing clinic templates, and staffing for this clinic. Moving on to policies and process, on the upper left, policy, we reviewed the guidelines suggested by ADA and ISPAD, looked at other centers for best practices, and developed monitoring protocols. In terms of processes, we developed a triage workflow, delineated who the personnel responsible is going to be, and created clinic slots. In terms of resources, we leaned on breakthrough T1D resources. We leaned on Sanofi, our partners who are here in the room, and we developed our own podcast, which is on our website. In terms of technology, we started thinking about labs. Is insurance going to cover these labs? And we were relying on external screening programs. So we are a TrialNet site, and what we typically used to do is hand out the TrialNet flyer to our patients and ask them to go get screened, but that did not really work well because when they got the kit, there was a large amount of blood needed from the finger stick. So we thought about setting up an in-person TrialNet clinic where patients can come in, get screened free of charge. We shared all this with our patients at community events and screening events as well. In terms of supplies and measures documentation, we thought about it right at the beginning. We documented T1D screening as the chief complaint on Epic so we can track the data. We developed a note template. For tracking, we developed a smart form on Epic, and so we can build reports on the reporting workbench on Epic. In terms of monitoring and results, we tracked number of patients we screened, number of stage 2, and number of patients who received TZIELD. Key driver diagram. So our aim was to increase screening of at-risk population from baseline to 15% over 1 year. And our at-risk population was defined as family members of patients with type 1 diabetes, individuals with other autoimmune conditions, and patients screened by PCPs. Key drivers were staff, patients, policies, processes, documentation, and tracking. And again, summarizing our interventions, education was a big one. Podcast, slide deck, handout, conferences, whatever we could do. Educate families at clinic visits, offer resources. Of course, buy-in from the team was extremely important. We reviewed guidelines, looked at best practices in other centers, looked at ISPAD monitoring protocol, triage guidelines, clinic slots, appointments, in-person TrialNet clinic. In terms of documentation, documented chief complaint as T1D screening, so we can track the data, develop clinic note template and smart form on Epic. And in terms of tracking, build reports to track antibody status, whether it's negative, one antibody, stage 1, stage 2, and the number of patients we've infused TZIELD. So this is our data. We started our screening clinic in end of September, October 2024, and we've showed a consistent increase in our screening numbers. So this is data through September 2025. In October 2025, we screened 26 patients. So our numbers are just going up, and we have been tracking patients who have one antibody, how many were in stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. So since we started screening, we have picked up about 6 stage 2 and 2 stage 3 patients with T1D. More details on our PDSA cycles. So in September 2024, we reviewed the ADA ISPAD guidelines, I created educational slides and shared with the team. In October 2024, we started a screening clinic in our Dallas campus. We started off with 2 sessions per month, 4 slots each, so total of 8 slots. And it was staffed by our PA, Christina, with MD backup. So we created a Teams group where we had a team of MDs, PA, APP, diabetes educators, and ASR. There was a complete separate triage process for this, and the visit note template was being developed at that time. In December 2024, we started working on the Epic Smart Form revision so that we can track the data and metrics can be tracked. This takes a while, so we started this process early on. January, February, we started developing screening flyers for PCPs, and Preeti helped me with this. We also started educating our own children's PCPs in our network, and that is work in progress. In April 2025, we started a TrialNet in-person screening clinic in our Dallas campus, and this was once a month on 4th Tuesday in the evening. This was staffed by a research coordinator, absolutely free. Anybody can come and get tested as long as there's a positive family history. In June of 2025, our TrialNet screening flyer was approved by the IRB, and our screening podcast for the PCPs went live on our website. In July, August 2025, Leah, who's here in the audience, started her screening clinic at Plano campus. So Plano is our North campus. In September 2025, the TrialNet flyer made it to our clinic, made it to our new onset binder. The Epic Smart Form revision went live, and the one-page screening fact sheet for the PCPs went live. In October 2025, we've screened about 26 patients. We started our TrialNet in-person screening clinic, which is staffed by a research coordinator in our other campus, the Plano campus, and that's on the 4th Tuesday in the morning. So, like I said, anybody with a positive family history can just call, schedule an appointment, come in, can get tested free of charge. TrialNet flyer went out in our monthly newsletter to our patients, and we continued thinking about how should we educate our primary care. At Children's, we did some more talks for them. I also reached out to GI and encouraged them to screen their celiac patients. We are in the process of developing a lab order set, so it's easy for them to send labs to Quest LabCorp or to the Children's Lab. So future ideas. I have 3 other talks lined up. So I'm doing a breakthrough T1D event on Friday this week, which is going to be attended by 400 family medicine physicians to talk about screening. I have a grand rounds presentation at Children's in January of 2026, where a part of my talk is going to be dedicated to screening, and the audience is pediatricians and other specialists. T1D Detect has organized a summit in Dallas, and that's in March of 2026. I'm a part of the panel with an adult endocrinologist and a patient who's received Tzield, and we are going to have an audience of pediatricians and family medicine doctors. So more education coming there. Again, we are still working on educating PCPs, and we want targeted education to screen antibodies. So at this time, the patients we are getting are the ones who were screened for some reason and they have elevated A1C, but some of the pediatricians are checking antibodies. So we really want them to check antibodies and then refer the positives to us. Another thing on the wish list is to develop an education curriculum for stage 1 and stage 2 for our diabetes educators and RDs. Psychology is the other big aspect, and we have to think through the screening tools for this population. And lastly, increase infusion capacity. We are infusing at our Plano campus. We do all 14 days as an outpatient infusion, and revenue is something we have not figured out. We know our hospital is making money on these infusions, but that is not really coming to endocrinology. So that's something I am working on. So this is an example of our documentation. We are on Epic. The left side shows the way we document. So chief complaint is labeled as screening for type 1. So that helps us pull all the data. Endo summary is on the right side, and that existed, but now we've added stage 1, stage 2, single antibody, antibody negative, date of screening, the reason for screening, if it's because there's this positive family history, positive autoimmune disease, other risk factors, or no high risk, and the treatment. So this way we are also tracking the number of patients who've received teplizumab, the date of infusion. The rest was the original endo summary, which includes which site they are at, if they're on a CGM, if they're on RPM, CAM status, scoping, etc. So this is our TrialNet in-person screening flyer, which we are handing out at every opportunity we get. So we had our breakthrough T1D walk last Saturday, and my research coordinator was there handing it out to patients. So anybody in the DFW area or outside can come and get screened in person, free of charge at both our campuses. This is the fact sheet we created for the PCPs, which is going to be live on our website next month. Just one 2-page document which kind of explains staging, screening, which labs to check, when to refer, and some of these CPT codes. Finally, going to end with our Tzield experience. So we've infused 5 kids so far. The first one was in 2023. The second one was in 2024. And since we started screening, we've had 3 stage 2s. We do midlines for all of these patients. We infuse them in our Plano campus. Side effects, typical side effects, fatigue for everybody, rash on day 5, low ALC count for almost all our patients, which improved. We did not have to stop our infusion. We did not have any elevated liver enzymes or cytokine release syndrome. So since we've started placing CGMs on some of our kids, we've noticed that they get hyperglycemic up to the 300s on like day 7, day 8 of infusion, which lasts for a week after infusion, and then it settles down. One of our kiddos did go on to develop stage 3. That's all I have. Thank you for listening. Shout out to my Dallas Fort Worth team on the right side and the Sanofi team. Thank you, guys.